Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. I am Toyosi Etim Efyong. Nigeria records the highest incidences of the sickle cell gene and disease globally, with 150,000 children born with sickle cell disease every year, and 100,000 of them die before they are 5. My first guest today is a sickle cell warrior and president of the Sickle Cell Aid Foundation, SCAF, as well as the founder of Haima Health Initiative, a mobile blood bank organization. Bukola Bolarinwa, because of her personal experience with sickle cell disorder, took it upon herself to create more awareness and support for people living with sickle cell disease. She decided to join her friend Nkechi Azinge as a partner to run the Sickle Cell Aid Foundation, and through the initiative have created more awareness about the disorder, even encouraging tons of people to know their genotypes. Buki, you're doing an amazing job. Welcome to the morning show.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here. We've spoken over and over again,
yes,
and it's so good to finally be able to speak with you. And, a lot of people go through experiences and just go through it alone. They don't think of other people. They don't think of how to create awareness. But you and Nkechi decided to just do something about the situation. And how has the journey been so far?
It's been amazing. I mean, it's a learning experience, it changes every day or every year. There's no predictability to it, but overall, it's been an amazing journey.
Yeah, and this started when you were in law school?
Yes, in 2011.
How? How did it start?
So we were in Buari, which is like a remote community in Abuja, and we had always decided that we wanted to do something about sickle cell, and that just seemed like the perfect avenue because it was a school and we were able to just go out within the communities, and then from there we just sort of took it, and it's taken on a life of its own, really.
Yeah, and how you came on my own radar was the Know Your Genotype initiative that you have. So it's basically you going around testing people. And how easy is it to get, I can understand in places like Lagos, Abuja, where there are more literate people, but for places where the literacy rate is not that high, how do you get them to actually understand knowing their genotype? It's
challenging for a lot of people because oftentimes when they get married, the process of doing certain tests and so on is not something that's common. People just get married. But what we try to do is we go with people that can speak local languages, and Abuja was the best sort of scenario for that, because there's some villages where they actually don't even speak Hausa. They only speak like the local, very local languages, and we just had to go with translators to try and explain to them that, okay, if you have this gene, you should know what your husband's gene is, and if you do, then you have children with you could have children with sickle cell, but it is very challenging.
Yeah, so what do you tell them? It's one thing for them to hear what you're saying, but how do you really explain this to them? How do you make them understand the dangers of having birth or giving birth to a child with sickle cell disorder?
I mean, a lot of them often know people with sickle cell because sickle cell is so common in Nigeria. They might just call it different names, and oftentimes when they do know people with sickle cell, they are aware of what the challenges are. And so what we're telling them that, okay, this can actually be prevented if you just take these steps. So that's really how we go about educating them.
And you also have the Adopt a Warrior campaign.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
The Adopt a Warrior initiative, we started it because there's a lot of people that are living with sickle cell and are really struggling. Sickle cell is a very, very expensive disease, and it's something that needs ongoing care. It's very unpredictable. The complications are vast and affect most parts of the body. So it's one of those things that we're saying we had to come together and say, okay, we can't support everyone living with sickle cell alone, so how can we get the public to also support us to help them out? And that's where the initiative came from.
Yeah, and has the public been supportive of the Adopt a Warrior?
People have been amazing, honestly. Like, it takes a certain level of, and that's why, I'm usually the first to defend Nigerians, because I've seen the goodness of Nigerians to be able to take money out of your pocket to support someone else's healthcare or education, someone that you probably never meet because people don't meet, but to just make a financial commitment to say, you know what, I'm going to take care of this person's hospital bills, or this person's drugs, or this person's education. It takes a level of compassion that not everybody has. So I must say that, I mean, obviously we can always do more. We're not at where we want to be, but generally I think that people have been amazing.
Yeah, so we've talked about Adopt a Warrior, we've talked about the Know Your Genotype. Now we're going to talk about the Sickle Cell Club scheme. This is new.
Yes, yes.
How did you come up with this? I feel it's so brilliant.
Yeah.
Talk about creating awareness from from when they're
school.
young, you know, like from secondary schools. So how did you come up with this?
It was actually our team that we decided that we normally carry out Know Your Genotype campaigns in secondary schools, and so we said what would be great is if we could have a sickle cell club where the kids can actually come. It's not just for kids with sickle cell though. It's just a 12-week activity book where they can carry out different events that raise awareness. So it's basically mini SCAFs, mini sickle cell aid foundations within secondary schools, and they carry out a range of activities over 12 weeks. And at the end of the 12 weeks, they put on usually like a play or some sort of bake sale. They can come up with any sort of activity that they want, and we'll attend and give them prizes and just make a day out of it. So just to make it fun and interactive, but at the same time they're learning, and at the same time they're spreading awareness.
So what is one thing that you want people not living with the sickle cell disorder to know, you know, especially in young people?
And for secondary school children, the most important thing for us is for them not to discriminate. Oftentimes, in every secondary school, there's someone that has sickle cell. It's just the way it is in Nigeria. But then they usually say things like, I mean, we went to secondary school somewhere in Festac, and we talked about sickle cell. And we said, oh, you know, kids, what do you know about sickle cell? And the boy raised his hand and was like, oh, they're going to die early.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. It's really, it's just generally what they hear, and, you know, things that they see, and they're like, they can't do this, they can't do that. You know, that's general. And it was funny because there was a boy with sickle cell in that class. So it's that negative stereotype that we're trying to get away from them as the most important thing.
And even from some sort of stigma, you know.
Definitely.
I can imagine the boy living with sickle cell in that class and how he feels.
Yes.
People probably don't talk to him because we had people living with the sickle cell disorder in my school, and they were we left them out of any hard work, you know. So when we're doing like all the things that we have to do in school, we're like, oh no, she cannot do this, or no, he cannot do that. But isn't there some truth to it? There's some things that sickle cell warriors cannot do.
Definitely. I mean, there's some things that a lot of people can't do. Different people can't do different things. But it's just about allowing, because children can be mean because they're honest, right? The children oftentimes don't have those barriers that adults tend to have, or that level of political correctness.
Filters.
Those filters, exactly. And so they just oftentimes just say what you mean, like, oh, this one, sicky, sickler, you know, all sorts of, you know, often negative things that they see. And so that's what we're trying to do with this, is just to let them sort of embrace them, that yes, they're different, but they're not necessarily less than you, or, you know, don't say things like they're going to die, or, you know, things like that. It's about just teaching them a little compassion, I guess.
Right. And thank you for bringing this curriculum. I want to go through it and see what is in it. But with everything you're doing, you've gotten some major recognition. I mean, you won Future Awards. You've won multiple awards. But there's one that stuck out to me. You were invited by the Queen to Buckingham Palace. Please tell me about that experience.
Yeah, it was part of it's called the Commonwealth Queen's Young Leaders Program, and they pick young leaders from all the Commonwealth countries to come and take part in the leadership course. And then we get to meet the Queen. I got to meet Prince Harry. I got to meet past prime ministers. It was a really amazing experience.
No, please tell me more.
I mean,
so what did you do when you met? Oh, God, okay, that's the picture on screen right now. That huge smile says it all.
I was super excited, and she was so lovely. And she asked me to tell her a bit about my organization and what we do. And I told her, and she was like, "Oh, well done. I'm really proud of you." And yeah, it was such an exciting moment. It goes by really fast, though. Like you only have a few, you know, seconds with her, and yeah, it was great.
Okay, well, it's been amazing talking to you, but we want to know really, like, describe a typical crisis.
So there is no typical crisis. That's the first thing. It comes in different ways. But what characterizes most crises is pain, and pain can be any part of the body. So because sickle cell is in your blood, anywhere where blood is flowing, you can have pain, and it's really intense. I mean, doctors have described it as worse than labor pains, you know, worse than, you know, breaking your bones. So it's really, really intense, and it's the worst part about it is the unpredictability of it. So the thing with sickle cell is that 1 minute you're fine, the next minute you're in hospital. So I think those are really the the challenges with it.
Yeah, well, you're doing a great job, like I've said, and you know I'm a huge fan, obviously, of your work. How can people keep up with you? How can people support you? What's your social media handle? Do you have any drives or any initiatives coming up soon?
Yeah, I mean, the main one we're really trying to push is to get people to help us sponsor the books, because we're trying to print as many as possible. We give them out free to secondary schools and help them create the sickle cell clubs and help them plan their events. So obviously, any support we can get in that regard. Our Adopt a Beneficiary, Adopt a Beneficiary program as well is always ongoing. We get so many requests from people with sickle cell who are struggling, and we're doing our best to cope, but it is really tough.
Donating blood?
Yes, definitely. That's a big one. We do I run Hyma Health as well, which we try to get young people to register as blood donors and to come out to donate blood. That one is also very challenging because Nigerians tend to stigmatize blood donation, or they tend to be afraid and so on. So obviously, if you can register as a blood donor, that would be amazing. But then if you just follow us on our handles are SCAF Nigeria on Twitter and Facebook. And Instagram, and you'll see all of our programs and how you can join and how you can donate.
Well done, Buki.
Thank you so
much.
Well
done. And I've been speaking with Buki Bolarinwa, the president of the Sickle Cell Aid Foundation. We're going on a break now. When we return, Bisade Kairanwi, who has now been declared sickle cell free, will be here to tell me all about his successful stem transplant. Don't go away.